Hey everyone, welcome to our very first team call. Hopefully you are catching the recording at some point. Thank you, Holly and Lizzie, for jumping on. I really appreciate it. I'm not going to take too much time here. We'll just kind of go through a few things that I've been learning and then leave it open for some questions. So um, something that I always do as a coach is continuously learn. So I'm never like just going through the motions every single day. I'm always trying to learn from somebody else. There's so many people in our organization, and so it's cool that we have all of these ideas and share everything with each other. And so I love listening to like other coaches speak on calls, the national wake up call, whatever. So you're always going to see me learning from that and taking notes and everything. So my job is to kind of just reteach that to you and try and help you guys learn and grow and move forward. So something that I've been hearing a lot this week is, how much we overcomplicate this as a business. And I think we all struggle with this like over and over again, but really our job as coaches is super simple. Like the only thing that makes it hard is us telling ourselves that, right? Our job is super simple. And I think if we go back to the basic 4 vital behaviors and we remind ourselves of that, it just makes things really simple. The first vital behavior is being proof of the products. So you're using the products, you're showing that they work, and as you do that, you become more comfortable with it, and you're going to be able to share your story. So Holly, you've been doing that really well. So once you do a couple programs, you're going to feel a lot more confident in what we're doing. And it's kind of like, oh, well, this is easy to talk about because it's actually changing my life. And so just, actually using the products, trying new things, trying the beach bars or trying the pumpkin spice or trying the 3-day refresh, kind of everything that our company has, trying new programs, even if it's not really like your jam, just kind of seeing what it is so that you're able to talk to people about it is really important. But also so other people see you doing it and they can trust you when they want to join you and when they ask you questions about it and stuff like that. The second vital behavior is personal development. And this is something that I might be going out of order, but it doesn't really matter. This is something that I didn't really dive into right away when I started coaching, and I wish I would have, because it's honestly like my main focus now. I love it. I'm always reading a book. I just got done reading The Happiness Code with Team Happy and Fit, and that was really good. So I highly recommend that book. But I've also gotten more into my devotional. I've been using the First 5 app, and that's been really good for me because the app, like I'll read a chapter in the Bible, and then the app kind of teaches you a lesson to go along with it. And literally every single day I've been able to come back and relate that to my life or this business or what's going on, with my journey right now. And so that has been really cool for me. I just keep a little notebook. Like literally you'll see this every morning on my stories. I keep a little notebook, and this is just for my devotional. And then I read and actually highlight in my books. But then I've been kind of taking notes on a Google Doc as well, so that I can take my takeaways and actually share them with people. So a lot of my social media lately has been either from my devotional or from my personal development book or a podcast or a video that I've listened to. I would say probably my favorite personal development would be books. I have all these up here. But if you're driving in the car or don't have as much time, listen to a podcast while you shower, while you do dishes, while you fold laundry. You can literally play a podcast or an audiobook at any time. And you might not be able to take notes then, but at least it's pouring that positivity and that kind of growth mindset into your head so that you can always be thinking about it. I used to do this a lot at my job. I was able to have my phone in my pocket and headphones, thankfully, and I literally would play podcast after podcast after podcast and just listen all day long. So I was very thankful for that. But just remember that that's always an option. For the National Wake Up Call too, there is the Team Beachbody podcast, and all of the recordings are on that. So you can go back and see topics that you want to learn about and just listen to that call. And you'll hear a lot of different coach stories that way too, which is really cool. The third vital behavior is inviting. And if you saw the Zoom last night with Trina, it was huge. She made inviting super, super simple. And so I just kind of want to share her formula for that, because I think inviting is definitely the hardest part of what we do. It can seem kind of icky if we let it feel that way, and maybe it's a little bit overwhelming, especially when you're first starting. But if you just remember, like, we're not just trying to sell stuff. Like, we are literally trying to help people in the way that our lives have changed. And so I think when you kind of just talk to people with your feelings about what you're doing, it makes the word inviting seem a little less scary. And so I just want to share Trina's formula for inviting. The first question she said was, why did you think of them? So when you are talking to a specific person, you want to work with them, and there's a reason. So why did you think of that person? What specifically is in it for them? What do you love about it that relates back to them? And what might their objections be, and how can you overcome them? So obviously I've not been inviting as long as Trina Gray, but you know, you can kind of just throw something together here. So if I think of my friend Callan that I used to work with, I can say like, hey Callan, I know that you're an athlete, you absolutely love fitness, so this made me think of you. I think that it would be really, really awesome for you to get back into a team atmosphere and maybe be able to coach others. This would kind of help you be able to do more personal training type stuff on the side of your full-time job. And then I can say something that I love about it, like the programs are really challenging, and so it's been really cool for me to kind of try and transform in that way, but then also show that to others. And so I know you would love that too. And then I can say something like, I know you probably don't think you have time for this, but the really cool thing is it literally only takes about an hour a day to build a solid business, but you can also make your schedule however you want to. So it's just really simple, kind of, you know, you're not really like throwing a bunch of words at them about what we're doing. You just kind of want to show them how it would make them feel and kind of how it could be a solution for them, if that makes sense. So inviting, I feel like I kind of go up and down with. Sometimes I feel good about it, other times I'm not so good. And it's just kind of this constant roller coaster of like learning and trying something new and then going back to the basics and kind of just playing with what works for you. But I think like the most important thing that I've ever heard with inviting is that you can never tell the right person the wrong thing. So when you're like first starting, I guarantee my conversations were terrible when I first started as a coach. Like I was probably throwing shit everywhere. And so like I still had people join me somehow. And so it's like, if someone is ready, they're going to join you no matter what way you say it. And you're just going to get better over time at your conversations and inviting. You're going to get more comfortable with it. The fourth vital behavior is recognition. And this one I think gets skipped a lot. Hold on, I'll go back and repeat the formula first for inviting. No, that's fine because it'll work. So the formula for inviting is, why did you think of them? What specifically is in it for them? What do you love about it that relates back to them? And what might their objections be? And how can you overcome them? So it's all about them. You never want to make it about yourself. Okay, the fourth vital behavior is recognition. Like I said, I think this one gets skipped over quite a bit, but it's really, really important. Like, how many times, you know, do you go to work on a daily basis and get told that you're doing a good job? Like, you're just expected to do it, right? Like, you're expected to get good grades in school. And so I think it's really, really cool that, like, we can take something as small as, well, it's still a big thing, but if you lose 5 pounds, you are going to be celebrated for that. And it feels really, really good to be celebrated for that, right? And so I think it's really important to kind of notice what other people are doing and just say, hey, you're doing an awesome job, or reach out to them if you notice that they're not in the team page very much and say, hey, are you doing all right? It's kind of, I feel like it's, the part of our community that makes us so special is that we do recognize people for their success and for their small wins, even each and every day. So recognition is really important. You can send them a message, send them a card in the mail. I like to send welcome cards to my challengers, or just randomly. I love getting mail, like actual mail. So I think it's really cool to do that sometimes. But just shout them out in the team page. You don't even have to make a graphic if you don't want to. Like, just send some shout outs or send a message or something like that. If you see somebody crushing it, I think, it really makes them feel special and just keeps them connected and makes them want to keep going. So when you look at it that way, I think coaching is really simple. Like, we're here to have fun, honestly. And so there's a lot to learn. There is a lot to learn with this. And honestly, that's what I love about it. That's what kind of took me away from my job in the field that I was in and led me to this, because I can constantly learn every single day, but I don't want you to be overwhelmed with it. Just take it at your own pace and kind of learn as you go. You don't have to know everything right away. I definitely still don't know everything. I think Julie Voris said on a training, I haven't watched it yet, but she's like, if you know everything, quit, because then you're not going to be growing anymore, right? And so I think, not to be overwhelmed by any of the trainings or anything like that, but just keep wanting to learn more and wanting to grow more. And as long as you are on your own journey and working on yourself, you're going to be an awesome coach. So keep it simple like that. Stay out of our own heads. I think, you can do a really good job with this. You don't have to have any requirements. You don't have to, have any certifications or anything like that. And so I think it's really cool that you just get to be the best version of yourself and help others be the best version of themselves and get paid for it. Like, that doesn't really happen anywhere. So I think that's really, really cool. Another quote that I heard this week was, your own coaches. So whether you have coaches under you or not yet, this is something that you will definitely want to know. Your own coaches will not grow past the place that you have gone to. So yeah, they could do it on their own, but what if they see you going places and then they're like, oh, I want to go with her? Like, they're going to grow so much faster. So if you can step forward and show up in the pages, show up in your challenge groups and kind of lead by example like that, they're going to show up too. And so I think that's super, super important. Like, you always want to, not always, you're never going to be perfect, but you want to act like the coach that you want to be, if that makes sense. If you're shooting for a certain rank, if you're shooting for a certain goal, you want to act like you're already there. And I think that's huge, because sometimes I think we can kind of shrink down from leadership a little bit, and we don't have to. Like, it doesn't matter how many coaches you have under you. If you find some information and you want to go share it in the team page, go share it in the team page. Like, I think that it'll just build all of us so much stronger if we continue to do that with each other. So that's really all I have. Pretty simple. Just going back to the basics. Do you guys have any questions? I know I didn't really talk about too much, but the basics are important.
Yeah, I have a question, but it's just like when you were talking about like the, like shouting out people and like not making it more difficult than it needs to be. When I was in high school, my basketball coach always like told us, like whenever whenever somebody does a good job, like always like say their name, because we just as human beings like to hear our name and like that recognition, like you said. So I just think that, like you said, like it doesn't have to be super difficult, and yeah, just like an easy shout out can make somebody's like whole day. It could be like they had a crappy morning and they didn't want to work out, and then you do that and all of a sudden their day turns around and then they get it done. So yeah, I just appreciate it. You said that.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And if we can like be intentional about doing that, even just for one person every day, it's going to make a huge difference. And it doesn't have to be like somebody on our team or one of your challengers or anything like that. Like if you have a coworker or a friend or something like that you haven't talked to in a while, just even like reach out to them and like tell them to have a good day. You know, it can be something easy like that too. So.
Right.
Lizzie, have you learned anything lately or any takeaways specifically from the call last night?
Well, I haven't watched the call yet. I mean, that's my plan. I was going to do that, and then I saw this was happening, and I was like, sweet, I'm going to hop on that. So that's what I'm going to do next. But
Oh, shit.
honey, never mind. It's fine. Whatever. I think my biggest thing is, you kind of already touched on it, but PD was one of those things that I like didn't put enough energy into. And with being like, for me, example, like I'm a student, so like being a busy student, like that's something that's so easy to get lost. And it's so easy to just like forget to take care of yourself in every aspect. And honestly, like, yes, working out's important. Yes, eating healthy is important. But when I feel my best is when I'm working on my mind first. And I think that's really easy to get lost because mental health isn't as like out in the open clearly because it's all within yourself than like everything else. So that's my biggest tip, just in general. Whenever I'm feeling crappy or like down, just like dive into a podcast, dive into a book, whatever you can, just get out of your head.
Yep, I always do that. And that's like my biggest transformation with this journey. If you followed it kind of from the beginning, I honestly don't really look much different physically than I did 2 years ago. But I'm a completely different person. It's insane. But yeah, even like recently I'll go through funks like every now and then. Like it happens, like it can be a day where I'm like, ugh, this sucks. Like today even, my mom came in, so my routine was like thrown way off, and then her appointment took a long time, and so I'm like, oh, I'm not getting home, I need to get my work done, like, you know, and then I get home and I'm like, like I don't want to do anything. And so it's kind of like you got to have something that snaps you out of it, because yeah, funks are normal, it's going to happen. But I think personal development is definitely the biggest thing that can get you out of it. I know, Holly, you've been reading Girl Wash Your Face. I love that book.
Yeah, it's super like relatable, I feel like, just for everybody.
Yes, it is. What else do I have?
I was also going to mention something from the Happy and Fit call the other night. Holly, were you on that call?
For part of it, and then I had
Okay. Yeah, so Julianne mentioned something, and she's like, don't, okay, I'm going to butcher this now, but it's like, don't lose, like, basically don't do something now. What was it, Amanda? You know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Don't give up what you want most for what you want now.
Thank you. Told you I was going to butcher it.
I know, I have it written down somewhere too, but yeah, that is super important. Like, everything I think is long-term. Like literally everything in life is long-term. Everything that is good. Your physical transformation is probably going to be long-term. I mean, if you quit working on yourself tomorrow and don't do it ever again, you're not going to be the same person that you are today, you know? And so, yeah, I think that's just huge, like for everything.
When she said it, I was like, that makes so much sense. But hearing that, like right there, I was like, wow, like there's a lot of times where I'm like, oh, I really would like to nap right now. And sometimes I do. And then I feel like crap after because it didn't get me closer to where I want to be.
Right.
So it's just like, you just have to assess like what you really want and what your actual goals are. And then recognize those roadblocks as they pop up.
Yeah, I think it can be really tough when you're busy to get your power hour done. Not because it's hard, but because it can be difficult to make yourself do it. Like your power hour isn't that difficult. Like you're literally probably on your phone that much anyway. So it's just about kind of managing your time a little bit better. But I think when we get really busy, yeah, your mind's in a million other places. And so you kind of have to have something that focuses you to that. And so if that quote helps you, write that down so you see it. Like if you have to do your power hour, like right when you wake up or when you get home from work maybe, or during your lunch, write something down that reminds you like why you want to do this. I think that's really, really important. I keep my power hour trackers in this big notebook, and it has my dream board on the front. So it has us having 2 Akitas, a little baby sister for Coda, wedding rings. Hopefully we'll get married someday. Like a big house with a yard, the car that I want, being able to fly to see my friends, a family living debt-free, and like all this stuff I know is going to come if I open this up and do the work. And that's like, you just got to do the work every single day. And so I print off, I've used these like forever, power hour trackers. When I was working full time, I would like take it with me with a notebook and do it on my lunch break, or do it kind of, you know, just whenever you had time. I couldn't really do it like during work, but if I had like 15 minutes to go take a break, I would maybe add 5 people to my network or something like that. And then I can write that down later. But yeah, like I have all of these, all of this is power hour sheets. So now I can go back to this too and see who I've been talking to or who I talked to over a year ago and kind of see where they're at now. And so it's helped me a lot with tracking what I'm doing, but also just making myself do it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Power hours. Just gotta be consistent. Yeah. Anything else? I have a couple of things that I want to get started in our challenge group and our team page. I shared the Google Doc for getting some other people to post a little bit in our challenge group. I know, Holly, you signed up for a day already. But I think if we kind of can do that a little bit more, share a little bit more of that responsibility, it's going to give you guys more confidence in being able to post, because you're going to find that like it's really easy to find this information, and then you're going to learn it yourself, and then you're going to know it and be able to share that with others. And so I think, you know, if we learn more Shakeology facts and, you know, just about anything and everything, even simple fitness, health, water tips, like people in the general public do not know it. Like so many people don't know that you have to drink half of your body weight in ounces of water per day. Like, I think it's crazy. Well, I mean, I probably didn't really realize that either before I started this, but I swear to you, every single person that joins our group doesn't know it. And so just like learning little tidbits like that, I think is really huge. So I'm excited to start doing that. But then also in our team page, I watched a training from Chelsea Pearson, and she did this thing called beach bombs, and it's kind of like a recognition type thing, but you're celebrating your own actions. And so there's like 20 different things that I'll put in a graphic, and then we're going to have just like one post where you can save all these graphics, and then when you've done something, throw it in the comments. So if one of them is checked in with my challenge group, if you did that for the day, and you don't have to do it every day, but because hopefully you're checking in with your challenge group every day, but just kind of as a reminder for all the other coaches on the team, you can just throw that in there and say, hey, I did this, like, yeah. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, I need to go do that, kind of to inspire action from each other. Or like, I helped 3 people and I hit SC5. Holly's only 1 person away from hitting SC5 this month. You'll hit SC6. So I think that's really cool that we can kind of celebrate in that way, but then inspire each other too. So I really like that idea. So I'll probably implement that next week or sometime soon. So yeah, I don't really have much else. So I wanted to kind of keep this short anyway. So any more questions? Good? Okay, I'm gonna hit stop record.